Okay, so I'm taking a break from Amiga repairs for a little while. In the meantime, the original owner of said Amigas has asked me for a favour. My apprentice is helping with the commentary here. He's donated me, rather not donated, he's given me a couple of things to fix. One of which is this remote, which we can see, despite having good batteries, it's not working at all. For perspective, a good remote would generate an infrared pulse that's visible by this camera, which you can probably see at just the right angle here. And we'll try another one. This one is a little more visible, having a slightly different spectrum. And you can see it flashing there with a bit of purple. So that's what a good remote should look like. And we know what this one looks like is nothing. So that's a repair job. We also have a battery tester, which requires a battery to test batteries. That's a pretty weird concept, but we'll see what we can do for both of these. Okay, so I've had the screws removed. Hopefully you guys can hear me a little better. The weather is actually a lot cooler and I don't have to have any airflow in the office. Actually, the weather's a little crazy. It went from really hot to 96% humidity, and then we had torrential rain, and we've gone from bushfire to a little flood in town, and now it's quiet and the crickets are chirping and the weather's moderate. Anyway, crazy weather aside, this is interesting. I see why it needs a battery now. It has a little black blob microchip in here. I had to remove this just to get the back off. So this complicates matters as to why it might not be working, although I do find these tend to be fairly robust. Now I see some contacts on here which look like they're just springs to pins, so I guess let's venture a little further. We'll find out what's going on here. I have my little screwdriver bit set with magnets on the back. I wonder if that's the only... No, there's one clearly in view that we can see. Yes, the camera can see. Let's have a look here. Stick that over there as well. Can we remove this board? I'm just gently testing to see if it will lift off. Although from the face of things, I can't see anything terribly wrong. I can't see what would go wrong with such a piece of equipment. So I think there's a lot more holding that in. I don't think I'm going to tempt fate right now. What I am going to do is use my newly designed distribution box. So let's have a look at that while I get everything set up. So what do we have here? I need a set of clips here, and I'm going to turn on this input with a variable supply. This could be interesting. I need about 1.5 volts, which is well below the voltage rating of that meter. So I'm going to have to use a multimeter to check my voltage output. So let's have a look here. We have a multimeter on the 20 volt range. Let's hook up our clips and see what our exact volt is up here. We've got apparently 0 coming out of that right now. I am on the right rating, so let's wind this up a bit. Okay, so something is not right here. Double and triple check these things, guys, so you don't blow things up. Alright, plan B. I'm going to put a battery in it, and I'm going to use a clip lead. Keep it simple, stupid. Double that over. Okay, let's get a clip lead. Clip lead acquired. I'm going to reconnect this system that I had before, or reconnect the battery terminal. Now I'm going to use my kind of battery tester to test one of the batteries. That battery doesn't look very good, so I think we'll test a couple of these. That one's sort of good. That one's a little better, but you know what, I'll use something I know is a lot better. Oh, that actually is even worse. Let's try a brand spanking new one then. I have my ice cream container full of batteries. So let us find a bit on the lid. Never find them. Let's test this battery. This should be spanking new. Let's try that one. Right. All the fiddly things we do that are not so exciting. Alright, so we have some connection in here. Let's flip this thing over and see what it does with the battery. So let's try something like a AAA. Now, does it have a test button? Don't know how this is meant to work. Don't tell me I have to actually look this up. I think that's a terminal for the 9-volt battery terminals. Yep. So apparently this should just fire up. Let's try battery with a bit more oomph. Really? So put double A's in here. I don't think I like that. Oh, here we go. We have some life out of it. Okay, so it might be just a contact problem on the smaller units. So let's try a different type of battery here. That seems to be working okay. So let's go back to one of these. This could be just simply a contact problem. Yeah, there is a little flick in the corner. And we get some life. I think it's just a dirty contact. Let's clean some contacts and see what happens. Okay, so I'm going to reconnect the battery terminal. That might make a significant difference to its ability to operate, as it does with most battery operated devices. Let's reassemble everything and whack a couple of screws in. Oh, silly me. I want to put the screws back in the main board. I wonder if I can do that without re-soldering that wire. There's one to go back in. Oh, hand in the way. Sorry guys. And there's another one here. See if we can get away with that. Maybe just. Right. Reassemble all of that. So functionally inside, I don't really see anything visually wrong, and that is largely backed up by the fact that it does seem to function. So put the screws back in, and then we'll jump straight to the contact cleaning. Okay, so contact cleaning. Well, we need a couple of the usual culprits. Get a bit of my plastic safe electrical contact cleaner. This stuff, if you don't know, is made in Australia, which is kind of why I have it. Support the local country that you're in, I guess. Now, the other little usual tool is my cut down toothbrush. It's very handy. This is a really simple process of just a gentle squirt of this stuff on all the contacts. I do like to leave it sit for a moment, even though it evaporates very quickly. It does help to break down the oxides when you leave it sit for a bit. I'm not going to be able to test all of these because I don't think I have all of these different battery types. But I do have a card full of them, but I don't want to break the card open and test new batteries. So give this a good clean. There is a bit of oxidization building up, particularly on the two most common used ones, the AA and the AAA. So looking nice and clean now. I'll just give it a little squirt just to flush away some of the worst stuff. And it looks like my apprentice has borrowed all my workshop rags. For what end, I don't know. She's up to some sign of a plan. I think she's trying to take over the world, but I don't know until I find a secret lab. Right. She watches too much Pinky in the Brain, I think. Alright, so let's see how we go. There is a battery fitted. Let's check. Yep, brand new battery fitted. So let's try this. We'll check. Aha, it works. Let's get a better angle on this. Alright, let's perhaps change angles and we'll get a better view of what's happening with better light. So I'm leaving you here with a stunning view of my vintage now Logitech G15 keyboard, and I just can't part with the classics. So the way this works, if I think we can see, I should have perhaps tested this. How's that, guys? Is that a good angle? Alright, so when we fit a battery in like this, it's supposed to give me a little animated diagram of how good it is. I could think of a multitude of simpler ways to do this. Right, so it is working quite reliably. Let's try our AA slot. AA slot is not aligned. There we go. That's working. So that explains why the microprocessor and stuff, they're trying to be fancy. Fancy for something that doesn't really need it. This is just, I think, a problem with aligning terminals. There we go. Okay, let's try something a little slightly more exotic. I should be able to find a button, so let's try a CR2032 I've got up here. I believe that's what that is. That's the one that's out of the Amiga 2000 that I'm testing, so let's try you. That appears to be good. Alright, let's see if I've got a slightly different style after I attack the camera here. Oh, I've only got CR2032s up there. I have my big box of partially used batteries, mostly AA's and AAA's. Let's try the cheapest, crappiest one of the lot. Super cheap Auto brand. Let's try that. Apparently that's great. For how long, I don't know. It looks like it's about ready to start leaking, to be honest. Well, okay, that's a success. Let's not get too wound up on that. It was just dirty contacts. Let's see if the remote's as easy a fix. Right, so TV remotes are notoriously difficult to get open sometimes. And sometimes you fart near them and they pretty much explode on the spot. So, let's see. He reckons these were good batteries. I haven't tested them. Well, guess what? We have a battery tester. So let's use the battery tester that we know now works. Oh. Okay, so it reckons in the right position those batteries are... Well, that battery is quite good. Let's see if it's not just like a single cell that's gone. Pop that out. Have a look here. That feels very loose. Okay, so those batteries are of an acceptable charge, so we can't really blame them. Let's have a quick inspection in here. Let me get a much brighter, less convenient light source. Hello camera, how does your dynamic range work? Not all that well, but there we go. So the contacts look quite clean. It's not one of the usual problems like corroded battery. Oh, hello. Corroded battery terminal. I think that's going to be a major contender. So, like most remotes, it's been left till the batteries went absolutely flat. Testament to how little voltage these things use. And how little current as well. Alright, let's pop this open, which I'm probably going to do off camera, so when I swear you won't know. Actually, I tell a lie, there are screws. Maybe I can screw this up, or do the reverse and unscrew it. I could make a crude adult-rated joke there, but you probably wouldn't like it. Now, let's get off camera here. Let's find a smaller screwdriver. I have my emergency backup Stanley set. Not the best, but also not the worst screwdrivers. I kind of like them. Because I like the shape. That's a reference to a TV ad that I think people don't get these days. Let's go here. These are very stiff screws. Stiff screw. You didn't hear that. And that is a slightly too big a screwdriver, and I don't want to strip out those screw heads. They look like they're mild steel. Much better. Now, take my little thingamabob. Let's change our camera angle. This might be a slightly more exciting repair of a mundane item from daily use. You know, I remember when my mate's mother had a TV that had an RF remote control before infrared LEDs were a thing. Now let's get the next screw out. Isn't this riveting TV, guys? You're watching me remove screws. Unscrewing things. There are some things in this world that can't be unscrewed, but we're not going into that right now. I believe there's only 4 screws. It's probably about 1 million clips. Well, my good old friend at Mix iPhone Repairs has donated a bunch of these things, which I think will be very useful right now. If I can run along and find a join in the gap here somewhere. Look at this, there's stuff coming out. If nothing else, it's good for cleaning it. Some junk coming out of there. You can hear my apprentice has decided it's not time for bed yet. I may have to take a brief intermission and tend to that little issue as well. Well, I'm glad that wasn't a screwdriver, that would have been my thumb. Alright, now we've got one clip undone. This is going to be a challenge, so yep. Luckily, my friend at Mix iPhone Repairs gave me a number of these. I just need to get a couple out and then the chain will self-perpetuate. I'll be able to work my way down all the plastic clips. Wow. This is usually about the point where I swear at these things because they just... I'm trying to do this so that it still looks nice and I don't mess it up, but I think I'm going to take a few minutes off camera here, swear at this profusely, maybe hit it with a hammer, and I'll be back and when I've got it open. So in reality what that took was about 30 seconds off camera and a different grip. So let's lift this off gently. We'll give this a wriggle, that should drop out. Okay, now we can see the bigger problem. Guys, take batteries out of stuff when you store it. I know you probably hear it a lot, but there really is some logic to it. This may not end well. Oh dear. Well, I guess there's nothing for it but a montage, I guess, if you guys aren't sick of that yet. This is going to need some cleaning compound, and let's grab a magnifying glass here. See if we can get this on camera. But we can probably see here that that stuff appears to have got underneath the copper track and under the coating. This could be a soak it in vinegar job. Take another note from the 8-bit guy. Learning a lot from him. I reckon he could learn a thing or two from me, but I reckon I'm learning probably just as much from him. Alright, let's get cracking with the cleaning compound first and see what happens. So that was quite a lot of rubbing and scratching and cleaning, but I think we got there in the end. You can see the coating has actually come off some of these tracks. I'll recoat that with something when I confirm that it's working. Most of these pads luckily don't look too acid affected. You can see the couple here and about here somewhere. We find a pointer. More particularly, these guys look like they're a bit shiny, like there's a bit of built up acid in them. I'll clean that with some of that cleaner shortly. But what that gives away to me is that this may have had some acid build up, and you can quite clearly see here where there's some crystallized acid building up under these terminals. I really hope this is not carbon track coming off them. This is definitely crystallized acid sitting in there. And right up the top, the most important one, the power button, it looks like it's got some gooey residue. Now, a tip for the uneducated. Do not use this stuff on these rubber pads. They'll curl up and do funky things, and 90% of the time they'll never be the same again. Some warm soapy water in the sink, is all you need. Dishwashing detergent and a bit of a soak. I'm going to peel all this off. So here we go, and you see there's even perhaps been a little bit of fluid damage in there too. So we'll get this all cleaned up, and we'll be back. And actually we might give this a quick clean on camera. Let's move that out of the way. The other thing that was going on here, unusually this has a little series connected joint terminal here, which was badly corroded as well. So both batteries were clearly leaking. Right, let's give this a quick squirt with a contact cleaner. You've got to be careful with these carbonized contacts. They can be a little sensitive, so you brush with caution. I'm really just trying to eliminate it. Most of this stuff, I'm flooding this so that the flow of this is what does most of the work and not the brush. I have to clean my desk again afterwards. You'll see this stuff evaporate on camera relatively well. Hey, 4K is not bad for this. Right, so that looks like that's removed most of the residue there. So I'm going to go take a stop in the kitchen sink while the wife's not looking, and give these things a bit of a wash. Well, I know I promised you a background noise free video this time, but there's crickets. I've discovered there's far too many of them to assassinate with a hammer, so I'm just going to have to let them go. Anyway, this is the keypad. Still a bit of damage to the carbon pads, but I'm not about to scrub them. They, if they have lifted bits of carbon off the other side, they might correspond to the holes, so, or rather to the damage on the actual circuit board. So they may be minimally functional if I don't bother. So I'm just going to poke all these down. These have been soaking in a sink with a fairly reasonable quantity of dishwashing detergent in the water. What I'm doing here is just pushing them to try and pump most of the moisture out of the little gaps. The rest of this I'll let to air dry. Humidity inside the house is pretty low. Outside, I don't think that sweating would save you. It's kind of tropical Queensland weather. So the rest of this, we'll give it a preliminary drying, but not so much of a problem. This bit is probably the most important thing to get dry, and we'll do that. And I'll resume filming once they're dry. Okay, so this is a slightly awkward position. I'm going to turn off the lights here. I'm going to push a button. See that little tiny flicker? That's an infrared signal. I think we have success. Let's see if I can find a better angle here that is more visible. I think we have life out of it yet. So, that's working really well. And how I managed to achieve this was by powering it directly. Now, boys and girls, do you notice the mistake I made before? I'm going to say it was deliberate. I had the terminals for my bypass plugged into the continuity tester. Anybody wonder that didn't work? Anyway, so I think once this dries off and I reassemble it, it should work. Here's hoping. Rightio. Well, the reassembly time has come. So I've already reseated the circuit board into the backing. That's particularly tricky and hard to film, so that's why that's been happened without you guys. Yes, I know I ran off and did something without telling you, but you know, that's what my kid says. Anyway, let's get this reassembled. I'm going to layer the rubber on, which for the casual observer you'll notice is a little bit more moist, but that's only on the top side. This will get nicely dried out before it goes into service. Now the back layer. Now this, for the record, has a whole bunch of little clips along the edge that were really annoying to get off. I'm hoping they're a little easier to get back on. Let's try. Oh, looks like the gods of plastic are going to be nice to me tonight. That's good. Let's put some batteries in and test. Okay, the fiddly complicated bit of getting the batteries in is done. Let's try a test. Let's get this nicely aimed up. Ho, it has life. Now, importantly, a couple of the buttons here seem to be a little dicky, but that's to be expected. The one button he really wanted was the apps button, and it works. Right, I consider that a win. So I'm going to let that dry out some more with the batteries out, and we'll present it back to him, and I'll put these 4 screws back in. Anyway, this concludes one of the boring repair videos, or at least it's bread and butter work for me anyway. So thanks for watching. Keep an eye out for more Amiga stuff. A little hint, there's an Amiga 1000 video coming. Not sure when that's going to happen, but thanks very much. See you later.